Alright folks, we have returned. It's now time for case 50 in the World Edition. Thanks to Pat, Vanya, and Vivian for the reports. Let's get to this. Up in smoke. Matthew, I've loved traveling the world with you, but I admit I'm glad to be back stateside. But even home soil feels shaky after recent upheavals. In Mexico, the border wall the U.S. is building has created tensions high enough to cause murder. And with the international community getting involved in the dispute, a movement appeared in America to leave the unified nations altogether. Now there's a huge debate between the U.S. Navy movement, which wants the country to leave the UN, and the U.S. Stay movement, which wants to remain. Both are trying to influence the people and the government. I don't understand how things got to this point, Matthew. Last time I was in the U.S., there wasn't any of this nay-stay nonsense. Well, times have changed, and we have to deal with it, little as I like politics getting in the way of our investigations. When Matthew caught Sombra's founder in Colombia, he gloated about the trouble they were about to raise in the north, and I'm seeing plenty of trouble. Matthew, if Sombra's not behind the recent political turmoil, then they'll certainly take advantage of it. We must uncover what's going on here. You should start by talking to the U.S. State Movement leader, Sandy Turner, who's based here in San Francisco. That's easy enough. Matthew, Sandy's giving a speech in the city right now. Let's go there. And that's why we Americans need to remain in the unified nations. We make a stronger world by cooperation. U.S. Stay. U.S. Stay. U.S. Stay is a choice to believe in the world, to continue our alliance with this brave experiment called freedom. Thank you, America. Sounds like a guy with a good head on his shoulders, in my opinion. Mountie, that was quite some crowd around Mr. Turner. Good thing we have our bureau badges to get us close to him. Marshal Matthew, nice to meet you. I've heard of the bureau's work. Did you like my speech? We only caught the end of it. The reason we're here is because... Oh, I'm dreadfully sorry. I just remembered I have another appointment. I'd love to talk to you in quieter surroundings. Can we meet in, say, an hour? Well, we're really in a rush, so... Matthew, he didn't even let me finish. He went straight to his car. I guess all we can do is wait. Uh-oh. What was that, Matthew? The explosion came from Lombard Street, and Mr. Turner went that way. Let's go there. Oh no. Case opened late for me. Uh-oh. 2 victims. Still learning the ropes. No need to panic. Matthew, Mr. Turner's dead. The explosion we heard came from his car. His driver's still alive, but barely. He's in the hands of the emergency services. You're right. The car is more damaged on Sandy's side. He was clearly the intended murder victim. The poor driver was only collateral damage. I can't believe this happened right under our noses. Matthew, I won't rest until we know who's behind this. We better look at the clues before the reporters get here. That broken clipboard might tell us more about Sandy's movements. Let's fix it up. And someone dropped their camera when the crowd fled the scene. Maybe the killer's caught on it. That'd be a welcome change. Let's unlock it. Matthew, Sandy Turner was an influential public figure. His murder won't go unnoticed. We've got to act fast. And we will. Okay, I'm gonna get stars, so sit tight. Okay, I got 12 stars. Let's examine the broken clipboard now. Still got the 9. A map. Matthew, that clipboard shows the route Sandy was supposed to follow after his speech, but apparently there was a last-minute change. It says on the bottom that the new itinerary was approved by his campaign manager. According to the U.S. State website, Sandy's campaign manager is Letitia Badu. Let's talk to Letitia, Matthew. Thought the victim's route change? Miss Badu, this is Marshal Matthew from the Bureau. We'd like to ask you some questions about Sandy Turner's death. It's terrible. Our movement's in tatters. Our staff's panicking. I must alert the family of that poor driver and plan Sandy's funeral. Speaking of plans, you've recently changed Mr. Turner's route from the rally, given that he was killed soon after. I know, it's terrible. Sandy kept receiving death threats, and I took precautions, but I never thought someone would actually try to kill him. What sort of threats? Who sent them? Some crazies were sending them, anonymously, protesting our movement. I threw the threats in the trash, where they belonged. I don't know how the assassins slipped past our security, but I hope you'll catch them. At a time like this, the American people need to see justice served. So our victim was receiving death threats. I can't believe his campaign manager didn't keep them. But you're right. Sandy's death is probably linked to his involvement in the U.S. State movement. Let's have a closer look at the rally stage. Well, first I'm going to do the locked camera. Oh boy. HE2, QF7, and 8DF. Look at this, Matthew. This camera's full of photos taken right before our victim's death. There's Sandy waving as he leaves the rally, heading down Lombard Street, where he was killed. Which means that whoever took these pictures must have witnessed the explosion. Nicely spotted, Matthew. There's a name scribbled on top of the camera. Terrence Williams. That must be the camera's owner. We need to have a word with Terrence about these photos. Okay. About witnessing the explosion. Mr. Williams, Marshal Matthews got a few questions about the assassination of Sandy Turner. It was awful. Literally the worst. I saw the blast, you know. I was supposed to do a photo report at the U.S. State rally for my politics class, but I ran kind of late. Mr. Turner's car was leaving as I arrived. I figured my prof would have turned my head, would have my head if I showed with nothing, so I took some photos of Mr. Turner. Then out of nowhere, bang! Everyone was running around. I thought I'd be next. I just dropped my camera and bolted. We've seen the pictures you took before the explosion. Did you notice anything unusual? No, dude. It just seemed like an ordinary day, you know. I don't think anyone saw that blast coming. Mr. Williams, if you recall anything, be sure to let us know. Now let's investigate the rally. Okay, let's see. Nachos, first aid kit. Trash bag. Flamingo pool ring, that's a clue too. Oh yeah, it has some substance right there. Makes sense to me.
So I just want to know, this huge document of testimony opposition that I presented, so you are affected by this book today.
Luckily the rally's over. Looking for clues in the crowd would have been impossible. I agree, Matthew, we should dig through the trash. We found plenty of useful things chucked in bins in the past. I'm less sure about this giant inflatable flamingo ring, but if you want to take a sample from it, I'm not going to burst your balloon. Electronic device. I'm not an expert, Mouthy, but that electronic device you found in the trash was like a remote detonator. Let's get the device to Jonah. Maybe he can confirm our suspicions. How long is this? 3 hours. There we are. I shudder to think what this substance from the flamingo ring might be, Matthew. I suppose a look under the microscope will tell us. Let's examine the transparent substance. Got it. Chacas Deluxe. Matthew, the stuff you found in that flamingo ring turned out to be sweat belonging to a certain Chacas Deluxe. Wait, the name sounds familiar. You're right. Chacas is the name of that drag queen we met in Australia. What's she doing at a political rally in San Francisco? Best ask Chacas directly. I thought that name sounded familiar. What she's doing in San Francisco? Hello again, Chacas. You're looking fabulous, as usual. You have to be fabulous if you want to conquer America with your new show. A new show? That'd explain the giant flamingo that announced your entrance. But what were you doing at the US Day rally? Darl, the rally was going to be my biggest scene. I convinced Sandy Turner to let me perform. Sandy Turner was going to let you perform? Really? My big American debut was scheduled for tomorrow. Stars and banners and glitter. Except that someone went and murdered darling Sandy. Now the rally won't go forward, and I won't perform. That explosion blasted my dreams away. We'll make sure to continue your dreaming nearby, in case Marshal Matthew has more questions for you. That's gonna do for here. I'll let these two run their courses. Maybe I might speed up the autopsy a little later, but we'll see. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the autopsies. Matthew, being back home in the States almost made me forget I'm here for work, but then boom, you bring me another cadaver. And boom's the operative word. The angle and depth of your victim's injuries indicate that he was killed by an explosive device located on his person. So the victim was wearing the explosive? Yes, I found pieces of a tie pin embedded in his chest. I believe that was the source of the blast. The leader of the U.S. Stay movement was killed with a tie pin? How could such a small thing cause a big explosion? Explosives and elaborate engineering. I found slivers of aluminum alloy and tungsten carbide in his soft tissue. They're used in state-of-the-art electronic equipment. If the killer built an explosive device out of these complex materials, they must be adept at handling electronic equipment. So our killer knows electronics. Where there's smoke, there's fire, Matthew, and we've got a hot lead. Well, there's clue number one. Electronic device now. Jonah, you were always fond of explosions. What can you tell us about the device Matthew found at the rally site? Like you suspected, the device is a homemade remote detonator. Very well crafted, too. It triggers an electronic fuse via radio signal. So this is how the killer set off the explosion. You said the detonator uses radio signals. Does that mean the killer didn't have to be on Lombard Street to trigger the explosion and kill our victim? Yeah, they could have done it from the rally site, but there's more. I noticed a strange smell on the device. I sent it to Lars to confirm my suspicions. Lars found some ash inside the remote detonator, and it turned out to be cannabis, so the killer smoked up while they built the device. Our killer might be blowing trees, but Matthew's not going to stop until they smoke them out. Smokes weed. Matthew, we came to San Francisco to talk to Sandy Turner, but our talk lasted only a few moments. Next thing we know, he's dead. What have you discovered about Turner's murder, Matthew? His driver's still in a coma, and the press are on fire with speculation about the attack. We know the killer used a remote detonator to trigger an explosive tie pin Sandy was wearing, which means that the killer might have been far away from the blast, but they still had to get close enough to Sandy to stick the pin on him. Sandy's politics must be central to his murder. He received death threats over his passionate campaigning for the U.S. to remain in the unified nations. This political murder isn't what America needs right now, and we don't have enough leads to move forward. Matthew, I've got news. Come at once. Sandy's driver has woken up. We'll start Chapter 2 next time. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's start Chapter 2 of Up in Smoke. Matthew, we came to San Francisco to talk to Sandy Turner, but our talk lasted only a few moments. Next thing we know, he's dead. Sandy's politics must be central to his murder. He'd received death threats over his passionate campaigning for the U.S. to remain in the unified nations. This political murder isn't what America needs right now. We don't have enough leads to move forward, and our main witness, Sandy's driver, is still in a coma. No, he isn't. Matthew, come at once. Sandy's driver just woke up. Mr. Parker, we're terribly sorry to bother you at this time, but we have to ask, what do you remember about Sandy's murder? Driving, fire, car exploding. Uh-oh. The bomb was in a tie pin Mr. Turner wore. Do you know when the killer might have put the pin on him? It's James Parker. Anywhere. Raleigh, Grow House. Grow House? What Grow House? New Spring Grow House. Drove him there. Sorry, can't. Oh no, Matthew, he's out cold. I'd better call the nurse. And then you're right. We should go directly to that Grow House. Got another card. Have the Dalmatian on. I'm gonna go with Ace because he kind of inspired me to do this stuff. I see something. If this ain't a clue, I'm not sure why it's not. Victim's phone. Aha, there you are. Framed photo. I hadn't realized James was talking about a cannabis grow house. I know legal medicinal cannabis is a booming business in California, but could our victim really have come here? According to this photo you found, he definitely did. He's standing among the cannabis plants. He's shaking hands with a tough-looking guy. We better check his face in the database. And you're right. This is clearly Sandy's phone. We better unlock it quick. Matthew, we knew our killer smoked weed, and now we know our victim visited a cannabis grow house. I've got a feeling this place will give us vital clues. Do everything right now. Start with the phone. UD5 A8P B9Z. Got it. Just got the 9 in time. Matthew, it's not surprising that Sandy's phone is encrypted, given his prominent position in politics, but hopefully that won't stop Elliot. Okay, that's 12 hours. Look at the results tonight. And the framed photo. Ugh. Hunter McFarlane. Matthew, the man shaking hands with the victim in the photo was the grow house owner, Hunter McFarlane. According to the database, Hunter is ex-military turned successful businessman. It's interesting that this weed grower personally knew the head of the U.S. Stay movement. We better ask Hunter about the connection. About the victim? Is your prescription for cannabis in order? Because if not, I can't sell you anything. We're not here to buy, Mr. McFarland. Marshall Matthew has some questions about the murder of Sandy Turner. We take it you knew him? Did I ever? We were partners. My company donated to Sandy's U.S. Stay movement. It's terrible that he's dead. He was doing a great thing, trying to keep the U.S. and the unified nations, you know. You seem to be really involved in the movement. I was a soldier, Marshall Matthew. I fought for my country, and when I came back, I was prescribed weed to cope with a bad wound. With my knowledge in electronics, I acquired in the military. I built my own grow house. Now I don't fight with a gun, but by donating to causes I believe in. I hope you find Sandy's murderer, Marshall Matthew. If I can do anything to help, just let me know. Okay. I'll let the encrypted phone run its course, so for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, this is Matthew. We have returned, so let's get the results of the encrypted phone from Elliot. Matthew, I expected better from a phone owned by the leader of the U.S. Stay movement. The encryption on it was mediocre. Mediocre, I tell you. We're devastated for you. Did you find anything useful on the phone? I found an email from a certain Sarah Bennett. Sarah Bennett, as in the Vice President of the United States? I wrote an article on Sarah Bennett in my journalist days. Many people say that choosing her as his running mate was the smartest thing the president's ever done. Well, she's here this week on some state affair, cutting museum ribbons or whatever, and in her email she refused an invitation to Sandy's rally. Interesting. Matthew, let's hope we can get an appointment to talk to Madam Vice President. Here we go.
I know that Tony and you are here to...
About her email to the victim. Madam Vice President, thank you for receiving us. We're from the Bureau, and Marshall Matthew is currently investigating the murder of U.S. Stay movement leader Sandy Turner. Such a tragedy. It's appalling that this can happen in modern-day America. The White House is about to issue a statement condemning this attack on Mr. Turner and his driver. Anyway, how can I help you? We were hoping to ask you a few questions about Mr. Turner, ma'am. We know he invited you to his rally. Ah, yes, of course. My staff had to send a polite refusal for me. As a government representative, I can't officially take a side in the U.S. State and the U.S. NATO debate. However, I can definitely take a side as regards this murder. This is a disgrace. Assassinating people isn't how we resolve disputes in our democratic nation. Marshall Matthew, I've heard of the Bureau's work. I trust you to find the culprit, so for now, U.S. federal agents will stand by and let you proceed, but let me know if you'd like them to take over. Give this investigation over to the feds? No way, Matthew. It's good that the Vice President trusts us enough not to insist on it. Of course, now we've got to live up to that trust. You're right, Matthew. We better step up our search for Sandy's assassin. Let's sweep the crime scene again for more clues.
Jessica, sorry I'm late.
Still looking, Hans? Well, I could have sworn. Wait, isn't that your bag on the end of the bottle? Along with the news centers and my
Excuse me, Mrs. Tanner.
Okay. See if we get... Oh, I think I see a clue at least. And that was one. Broken videotape. And a mask.
Well, I want to hear husband. I hope getting a disconnected service
The catch-up. 3 seconds. Great. '20th. Cool. Looks like I got another. This blueprint must be what the killer used to make the murder weapon. Good idea. Maybe the weird white grains the blueprint is covered in will prove to be a crucial clue. Let's collect a sample. And this broken videotape seems to have the U.S. State logo on it. It must be from Sandy's camp. We'll need to fix it to learn what's on it. As for that mask of the victim's face, someone seems to have scribbled on it before erasing everything. I'm a bit puzzled by this, but let's retrieve the writing. You know what? I have all the stars. I might as well just do everything now.
Introducing Mega Advanced for Humanoid. Just one side delivers the Mega 3.
I figured this would be a vacuum one, not a... There we are. Let's stick the grains on the killer's blueprint under the microscope, Matthew. They're the kind of lead we've been waiting for.
I lost 38 pounds.
Kelly lost 39 pounds in 17 weeks. Hydroxycut
White
is
grains?
the number one selling weight loss supplement brand. Over $100 million sold. Hydroxycut really works.
Suffering from sinus congestion now?
This one. Two different ones. There we are. There we go. Quinoa. Cereal? The grains from the killer's bomb blueprint turn out to be quinoa? Carmen! Don't tell me you're bringing up that disgusting quinoa again. I won't eat it. Sanjay, we've had this discussion. Quinoa is good for you. It's high in protein and important minerals. Those minerals can stay far away from me. Sanjay's definitely entering his rebellious teenager phase. I don't know how I'm going to... sorry, Matthew, you're right. Now that we found these grains on the killer's bomb blueprint, we can say for sure that our killer has a taste for quinoa. Well, soon they'll have to lower their standards to prison fare. And the mask.
I was addicted to nasal sprays for years. I'm loving the natural approach to vitamins. About my time.
There we are. 6 synergy. Chaka's message. What could have led Chakas to write, "You weren't fabulous enough for Chakas anyway," on a mask of the victim's face? Didn't Chakas tell us she had a great relationship with Sandy? It's time we had another chat with her. Okay, sorry guys, my tablet was low, but I charged it a little bit. Chakas, you told us that you and Sandy Turner got along well, but then why did you vandalize a mask of his face? Oh, you found that, Marshall Matthew? Well, there's no hiding now. Yes, I did deface that mask. Sandy deserved that, and more. I told you I was going to perform at Sandy's USA Day rally, but he canceled my show. I would have brought him all the fabulousness his movement needed, but he rejected me to target a larger audience. You seem quite angry about that. You bet, Darl. Burning one was the only way I kept my cool. Sandy may have ruined my American career. Well, I hope you didn't kill him for that, Chakas, or your career will end in a prison cell.
Whatever you're looking for, Kathy, Nancy, you won't find it there or anywhere. It's a figment of Steve's imagination.
Broken videotape now. I got all the stars.
Listen, what on earth are you doing here? I got something quite valuable for yesterday morning, and if you let us alone, our cat's outside in about 2 seconds before we do it. No, Nancy. Not with a good friend under arrest for murder. It appears that both of you got a hand.
There we go. Matthew, I'm sure Elliot will be able to tell us what's on this USA tape.
Please, Kathy, it won't work.
I will get the results tomorrow.
In the Democratic office.
How long?
There was a graph.
12 hours. Get the results tomorrow. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then.
It was a different
Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the videotape. I'm under unlimited energy happy hour right now. Matthew, I can't believe you sent me a videotape. What other antiquated technology will you dig up next? A typewriter? We bring you what the case needs, Elliot. What was on the US stay tape? Anything relevant to the victim's death? Watch this. Sandy, I've missed you so much. We haven't had any time alone recently. I know, dear, but you know how important it is to keep our relationship secret. Think of my career. By the way, did you get those briefs done for the press? Unlike you, I can handle a relationship and a career at the same time. The briefs are ready. It seems our victim liked to mix business with pleasure, and there was obviously trouble. Letitia didn't say a word to us about their relationship, but she'd better start talking now. About her relationship with Sandy? Marshal Matthew, are you any closer to solving Sandy's murder? I'm hardly holding the fort down. The press demand answers. Sandy's driver is barely alive. Sandy's family's devastated. If it weren't for my prescription cannabis, I'd have lost my mind by now. It's not surprising that you're so affected by Sandy's death, given that you were having an affair with him. No, we weren't. How did you find out about that, Marshal Matthew? Please don't tell anyone. If people find out, it'll discredit our entire movement. But yes, it's true. Sandy and I were involved. We knew it was a bad idea, but we couldn't help our feelings. Or, well, I couldn't help my feelings. Yes, our evidence showed that Sandy didn't seem as committed as you. Lately, I started to suspect that Sandy was only using me, as if I wasn't already giving my all to his campaign. It's infuriating. I'm a qualified professional. I've got skills from electronics to running a political movement, and he thinks he needs to woo me to get me to work. I understand that's frustrating, Miss Badu, but if your hurt feelings led you to kill him, you'll have to exercise your many skills in jail. Matthew, what's this I hear? You went to talk to the Vice President of the United States without alerting me? Miss Bennett didn't seem to mind answering our questions, Chief. She even said she trusted us with the investigation and held the feds off from getting involved. And Matthew's making headway on the case. We found the weed grow house Sandy visited. And we know why he was there. The grow house owner is a financial contributor to the U.S. Stay movement. Meanwhile, the U.S. Stay campaign manager was having a fraud affair with the victim. Admittedly, there's been no sign of Sombra's involvement in any of this, but You're still on about Sombra, Carmen? Aren't you sick of them leading us by the nose? I think we need to just chill. We need to chill? Are you serious? Yes, chill. Maybe Sombra and us can work it out, you know? Maybe we can all be friends. Jack, are you feeling alright? I've never felt better. Matthew, I've got a great idea. I should join Sombra. Are you serious? Come on. We'll have to find out what Archer is screwing about in Chapter 3. It's time now for Chapter 3 of Up in Smoke. Matthew, this murder case started with a literal bang, and it's been keeping us on our toes. The victim, Sandy Turner, was the head of the U.S. Stay movement, which advocates keeping the USA in the unified nations. There's an ongoing debate about this. We suspected Sandy's political stance was the likely murder motive, but now some personal grudges have come to light. Either way, there's been no sign of Sombra, which... You're still on about Sombra, Carmen? Aren't you sick of them leading us by the nose? I think we need to just chill. We need to chill? Are you serious? Yes, chill. Maybe Sombra and us can work it out, you know? Maybe we can all be friends. Matthew, I've got a great idea. I should join Sombra. Join Sombra? Jack, are you completely... Wait a second. Jack Percival Archer, are you high? You stink of weed. High? Me? No. Jack, you're a police officer. What were you thinking? Go to lockup and don't come back until you're sober. You're right, Matthew. Weeds figured heavily in our case even without Jack. What with the killer being a smoker and the victim having ties to a grow house? We're under pressure to solve this case, and we need more leads. I agree, we should go back to that grow house. You just had to figure. Think I see the 2 clues already. Cardboard box. Ripped paper. USA badge. Oh, that's 3 clues. Grapes. Oh no, shoot. I found it, but I messed up. Matthew, this box is full of US Stay merchandise. What's it doing here? We better look through it. And it's interesting to find a US NA badge among all the US Stay paraphernalia here. Let's dust it for prints. As for that torn paper, you know what to do with it. Matthew, I feel like we're on the right track to solving this murder. Let's get to it. And I have all the stars, so I might as well do everything now. There we are. Just barely got the 8. Let's get these fingerprints to the lab and see who was opposed to the victim's political ideas, Matthew. Nine hours, but I might speed this up later. We'll see what happens. Since I'm under unlimited energy happy hour. That's about the only time I'm ever going to use my cash. If I'm under that kind of happy hour. Hunter, I obviously cannot endorse these products. Sandy. Matthew, every piece of merchandise in that box was stamped with the US Stay logo and that of Hunter McFarlane's grow house. Their partnership really was going strong. At least until Sandy sent this note to McFarlane. I obviously cannot endorse these products. I wonder if the weed leaf has something to do with it. I agree, Matthew. Seems like Hunter still has things to tell us. Let's pay him a visit. Why the victim refused his campaign movement? Mr. McFarlane, why did Sandy refuse to put your logo on his campaign merchandise? That must have made you angry. You found that message. I knew I should have trashed that box. Can you believe the nerve? I gave so much money to Sandy's movement and he wouldn't put my logo on his merchandise because it might scare his supporters. What did he take me for? A criminal? I'm an honest entrepreneur selling medical-grade cannabis. I help people. Sandy should have understood that. I spent all my money sponsoring that two-faced liar. I'm so broke I've got to eat quinoa for dinner every day, and all for nothing. Well, I hope he didn't take his life as payment, Mr. McFarlane, or if Marshal Matthew will send you straight to prison. Now he's in the running. We'll see if he's the killer, but let's examine the Ritz paper right now. A letter. 7 Energy. Matthew, this document is stamped with the logo of the Vice President's office. It reads, Mr. Turner, I received your demand to provide you with federal security forces for your personal protection. This is a request my office cannot fulfill. Considering the death threats he was apparently receiving, it's not surprising Sandy felt the need for more security. Maybe we wouldn't be investigating his murder if the VP had agreed. I agree, Matthew. It's time we have another chat with Vice President Bennett. Why she refused federal protection for Sandy? Madam Vice President, sorry to bother you again. Could you elucidate something for us? Anything I can do to help, Marshal Matthew? We were wondering why you refused Sandy Turner's request for extra security. I apologize, Marshal Matthew. I should have mentioned it before, but it totally slipped my mind. Mr. Turner asked me for the impossible. He wanted a federal protection detail assigned for his personal use. But I couldn't spend public funds on protecting the U.S. state leader without it looking as if I were playing favorites. I invited his campaign manager to talk about our security measures over a bowl of quinoa, but that was the most I could do. I'm sorry I can't help you more, Marshal Matthew. I have to go now. I have a tight schedule. Good luck with your investigation. Vice President is not in the running. For the time being, anyway. I'll let the fingerprints run its course a little bit, and we'll see what happens if I speed things up or not. We'll see what happens. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Excuse me. Decided to speed things up. I got all the stars. See what Elliot has to say. Matthew, is it true Jack got high as a kite and said he'd join Sombra? Man, I'm never letting him live this down. Don't remind me. I swear, of all the irresponsible things to say and do. Anyway, did you find out whose fingerprints were on the USNA badge? Piece of cake. The fingerprints matched one Terrence Williams. So Terrence supports USNA. He went to the US Day rally for his politics class, but he clearly didn't embrace the victim's beliefs. Matthew, let's have another word with Terrence. Still under unlimited energy happy hour, but let's see what Terrence has to say now. Mr. Williams, would you care to explain why you... Just a sec, dude. Mind if I finish my quinoa salad first? I'm like running real late for the electronics club meeting. Your club can wait. Mr. Williams, you failed to tell us that you're a USNA supporter, meaning you oppose Sandy Turner's ideas. Oh man, I knew that badge would get me in trouble. I must have dropped it when I went to the grow house. But like, come on, Turner's ideas were stupid. Staying in the Unified Nations? Believing in the world? I'm too busy believing in my student debt. It's clear the current system is broken. At least the USNA people are honest. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Power, not friendship, rules the world. That's a cynical view to take, Mr. Williams. And if you killed Mr. Turner because you disagreed with his ideas, you'll be writing your thesis in your prison cell. Well, he's in the running now. Matthew, we're so close to Sandy's killer, but we're still missing some crucial pieces of evidence. Matthew, I have some sad news from the hospital. Sandy Turner's driver died of his wounds. Pulverholm. Poor guy. That's another victim of this killer, and they're still on the loose. Before he passed away, James's last words were for you. He said, "The pin rally." I don't know what he was trying to say. He must have been talking about the explosive tie pin the killer placed on Sandy. We need to go back to the rally site, now. Well, now it's down to 26 minutes. I should be able to get everything done. I did get all the stars from the last crime scene we investigated. Tie pin. There's a sandwich. It's the 10th already. This must have been Sandy's original tie pin, the one the killer replaced with their explosive device. The blood cannot be the victim's, which means the killer probably cut themselves when doing the swap. Let's get a sample of that blood, Matthew. And look at those latex gloves. They clearly don't belong here. Better collect some of those crystals from them quick. I tell you, on second viewing, it kind of looks like one really weird smile from some cartoon character. This tie pin will break the case, Matthew. Let's get that blood to Lars. And the latex gloves. But I won't speed any more things up because after this it's like kind of no point. Even under unlimited energy happy hour, I just don't see how it makes sense. Trying to use my cash pretty wisely. I'm not sure what the crystals you found on those gloves are, Matthew, but I'm sure Lars will know. Hours. Alright. I'll let these two run their courses, and for now, this is Matthew. See you then, and I may speed up the white crystals depending on the time. So I'll see you all then. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the blood. Matthew, I've heard Sandy's driver died of his injuries, so the killer's got two people's blood on his hands. But this tie pin is proof that a small injury can prove just as fatal as a big one. Certainly fatal enough to bring down your killer. You mean you got something from the killer's blood on the tie pin? Get to the point, Lars. It was just a tiny sample, so I couldn't go very far with it. Yet I can tell you the killer's blood type is A negative. Matthew, I can't wait to see the face of our cold-blooded killer when we tell them they've been betrayed by their own blood. Now I'll go ahead and speed this up. Hey Matthew, knock knock. Lars, we've got a case to solve, remember? But fine, who's there? Your ex. What? Who? Lars, this is embarrassing. Your explosion has been caused by the white crystals you picked up on the latex gloves. Get it, Matthew? Your explosion? Anyway, these crystals are from RDX, which Jonah confirms is the explosive substance used in your murder weapon. So these gloves belong to the killer. What else did you find? There was another element mixed with the RDX. At first I thought it was part of the explosive, but it turned out to be just some regular fluid for cleaning glasses. So our killer wears glasses? Well, Matthew, I assure you they will end up in jail and they won't see it coming. Matthew, we have everything we need to arrest Sandy Turner's killer. Let's do this. It is not Letitia Badu. It is the journalism. It's the student, Terrence Williams. Terrence Williams, you're under arrest with the premeditated murder of Sandy Turner. You got the wrong guy, Marshall Matthew. I'm a student. I don't kill people. I read books. Yeah, and I bet you smoke weed at the same time. Just like when you were crafting this detonator to trigger Sandy Turner's explosive tie pin. What detonator? I don't know what you mean, man. Don't play dumb. We found your blueprints. You left quinoa all over them. And? Everyone here eats quinoa. It's cheap and healthy. That doesn't make me a killer. No, but your blood does. You left some on Sandy's tie pin when you made the switch with the murder weapon. The game is over, Terrence. Fine, you got me, but I needed money. You don't know what it is to be a student nowadays. It's not just the student loans. There's rent, food, books. Most students get jobs to put themselves through college. They don't resort to murder. They paid well, and I didn't mind cleaning this country from the plague that was Sandy Turner. Wait, they? Someone paid you to do this? Who are they? I don't know, and I don't care. They say they were from the USA movement, and that's how they got me. And that's how they got my email address. I never met them. Everything's been done through the web. Someone sends you an email asking you to kill someone, and you do it without question? They gave me a ton of money to kill Sandy and promised more when the job was done. That was all I needed to know. Here's something else that you need to know. You're under arrest. Terrence Williams, you stand accused of the murder of Sandy Turner. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor, but I don't regret it. This man was a political gangrene of our society. There are many ways to support your country, Mr. Williams, but killing someone is not one of them. Therefore, this court sentences you to 30 years in prison. You're just like Sandy Turner, ruining this country by making the wrong decisions. Matthew, the older I get, the less I understand this world. Since when do students kill people for money? And you're right, Sandy's murder may be solved, but some elements in this case are still shady. We don't know who paid Terrence to kill Sandy and why. Terrence only told us they had something to do with USA. This doesn't sound good at all. Whatever's behind the strife between the USA and USA, we need to find out, and quick. Taking a look at the other ones. Chakas Deluxe cleared from the start, as was Sarah Bennett. Hunter McFarlane, no glasses. Letitia Badu, O positive blood. It was Terrence Williams. I'll see you guys for Edge of Darkness 2-8. Okay, folks, we have returned. It's now time for Edge of Darkness 2-8. Matthew, well done solving the murder of the USA movement leader and catching his killer so quickly. But you've also made a troubling discovery. Someone from the USA movement paid the killer to commit the murder. It'd be good to know if the murder was arranged by a single USA fanatic or if something's rotten at the core of the movement. Matthew, it's clear what you must do. Talk to the killer again and discover what he knows about the person who paid him off. And, Matthew, when you have the time, could you maybe help me find Jack? Archer? I've just let him out of lockup for taking illicit drugs. What's he done now? That's the thing, I don't know, but I saw him running out of the office and he was really worried that I noticed him. Jack mumbled something about weed and said I shouldn't follow him at any cost. I'm afraid he's in some kind of trouble. Weed again? Matthew, once you're done interrogating Mr. Williams, go to the grow house with Lars and see if you can locate Jack and bring him to my office when you do. Uh-oh. I think that means that Archer's gonna get it. Mr. Williams, you said that someone from the USA movement paid you to kill Sandy Turner. You'll have to be more specific than that. What exactly do you know about that person? What's in it for me if I answer your questions? Do I get a commuted sentence? You're not in a position to make demands, Mr. Williams. I strongly advise you to stop fooling around and start talking. Fine, sheesh. Anyway, it's not like that USA person and I ever met in real life. I already told you they got in touch with me online. Next up, they were going to send me instructions through a mailbox in front of the Casper Theater for how to receive the second half of my payment. I guess I'm never getting it now. Man, that stinks. Yes, Mr. Williams, you won't be getting within 10 feet of the Casper Theater, but Marshal Matthew will definitely check for that mailbox. There we are, there's the mailbox. Good call, Matthew. This must be the mailbox Terrence mentioned. Let's hope whoever hired him to commit murder left another message. I'll let you search it. Let's examine the mailbox. There we are. A smartwatch. That smartwatch is sure out of place among all those letters and parcels, Matthew. You're right. This must have been left here for Terrence. The gadget probably contains instructions for how to get his payment for the murder. Hopefully Elliot will be able to get a trace on the person who sent it.
Don't go it alone.
9 hours. I can get the results tomorrow morning.
First three of them, and the Sears experts will help
In
you.
the meantime, let's investigate the grow house.
Save 30% off outdoor appliances. Save free delivery on all appliances over $3.99 when you use your Sears card. Sears, sales experts for homeowners.
Uh-oh, I think that's Archer's shirt. I hope he's not the leader of Sombra, though. My guess would be a Saul. There we are. What the? Matthew, this is Jack's shirt. What on earth is it doing in this grow house? I don't know what could have happened to make Jack lose his shirt here. You're right. Maybe the weird stains on it will help clear up the mystery. Let's take a sample. There we are. 8. Matthew, I'll rush this sample from Jack's shirt to the lab as fast as I can. I just hope my bro's alright. For your sake, Lars, I hope so too. 6 hours. I'll let both of these run their courses. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the smartwatch. Elliot, what have you got on the smartwatch Matthew found? Did you figure out who sent it to Terrence? The encryption on that watch was really fun to crack, but the more I worked on it, the more familiar it seemed. And I'm certain now, Matthew, that smartwatch is encrypted by Sombra. What? You mean the person who paid Terrence to kill Sandy was Sombra? But Terrence said someone from the USNA camp had contacted him. That means Sombra has infiltrated the movement. Unless USNA has been Sombra from the start. Matthew, we've got to learn more about them. Good call. The U.S. State campaign manager must keep a close eye on her rivals. Let's talk to her.
I skipped the game. things instead.
About USNA. Marshall Matthew, thank you for bringing Sandy's killer to justice. Is it true what they're saying on TV that someone at USNA arranged the murder? I can't believe they'd stoop that low. How did the press even get hold of... Never mind. We're suspecting a link between USNA and an international criminal organization. Oh, if USNA did turn out to be criminals, it would make my day. I mean, it would be very sad, of course, but think of the blow to their movement. They'd be done. As far as I can tell, though, they're clean. The notes I compiled on USNA should still be at the rally venue. You're welcome to look through them, Marshall Matthew. Then the rally should be our next port of call, and we should grab a snack on the way to keep up our energy, Matthew.
He said he wanted to take her to dinner. He wanted a girlfriend experience. They went to a Starbucks actually, so she could check him out. He insists on paying cash. Gave the name Brewster.
That's what I mean. Call that looking out for you girls.
I take care of my girls. She didn't feel safe
Okay.
at her other agency.
Here we go.
We're gonna need the name of that agency.
Faded notebook.
Quit on Christmas Eve. These are my tax dollars at work. You don't pay taxes. I'm talking about more stable young ladies. Drugs, family problems. I know my aunt says college girls. I'm not here to shake you down. 2 girls are missing. They both work for you.
There we are.
So she's missing now. It's not my problem.
Actually, it is your problem. Because she was
Matthew, this notebook clearly mentions USNA sponsors. These must be Letitia's notes. She's made 2 columns, one for the company's names and the other for their IDs, but she's consulted them so often that the writing's all faded. A good dusting should fix it.
I found her teeth rotted from the meth. It's custom to custom. She splits on me. That's the best. Tough break. But I need the credit card info for the job.
Here we are.
Since he's got a nosy wife.
List of sponsors.
Big cash.
Letitia's notes list quite a few sponsors for USNA. Wait a second, you're right. There at the bottom it says OM Medilab. That's the pharmaceutical company used as a front by Sombra. Which means Sombra's backing the USNA movement. Matthew, this is huge. We already knew Sombra was probably benefiting from the current social unrest, but now we got proof they're actively encouraging it. Sombra's smart, using OM Medilab for this. After we shut down their funds in India, they pops back stronger as ever in Brazil, and we've yet to pin something on them. They're untouchable. Matthew, whatever long game Sombra's playing here, we've got to stop it. And you're right, we should also alert Letitia about these new USNA sponsors.
This is a predatory psychopath. He's grooming his victims, handpicking them out of paper.
Tell her about OM Medilab. So, Marshall Matthew, did you manage to find a skeleton rattling in USNA's closet? Are they crooked? At least they have a crooked sponsor, and you've actually got them down in your notebook. OM Medilab, the last on the list. OM Medilab, but they're a respectable pharmaceutical company. A pharmaceutical company and a front for an international criminal organization. Really? Oh, if that came out, it would deal a huge blow to the USNA campaign. As much as that would please me on a personal level, it's not that simple. Like you said, OM Medilab is, for all intents and purposes, a respectable organization. I hope you bring them down, Marshall Matthew. I'd like to help you in any way I can. Here, please accept this financial contribution. Oh, thank you very much. 20,000 coins. So the sample from Jack's shirt turned out to be makeup, and maybe that's not weird in itself. But the makeup in this sample has Chaka's DNA in it. So Jack took off his shirt in a weed grow house when Chakas was around? You're right, Matthew, there's nothing for it. We better ask Chakas what's going on. Let's ask her about Jack. Miss Chakas, have you seen Detective Jack Archer anywhere? Possibly running around shirtless amid a lot of weed? What a question to ask a gal, Marshall Matthew. I've certainly seen your friend somewhere, though I can't recall where. But come meet my pretty friend. Here, Darl, aren't you glad to see Marshall Matthew and Mr. What's your name? Douglas. Lars Douglas. Very nice to meet you, miss. Chakas, I didn't agree to this. Don't worry, sweetheart. Mr. Douglas just finds you charming, doesn't he? He does. I do. I haven't looked at women much since my wife, but your eyes, they're such a rich caramel brown. I may need to write a song about them. Alright, this has gone long enough. I'm leaving. Darling, come back. Was it something I said? The bit about the eyes? It was too fast, wasn't it? Oh, Darl, you're adorable. I could just eat you up. Tell you what, you and Marshall Matthew should both have this outfit. Maybe it'll help you in love. Sorry guys, tablet ran out of room. You can definitely tell I've been out of the dating game for a while, Matthew. That friend of Chakas was real pretty and I totally chased her off. I wish Jack could have seen her. I'm sure... Okay, this is officially way too weird. You gotta stop this, Lars. It was me, alright? I'm Chaka's friend. Jack? You? The girl? Yes, I was the girl. You don't need to harp on about it, bro. But you are so pretty. Please stop talking. It's just, I ran into Chakas and she totally dared me. She was like, you call yourself a master of disguise and I bet you can't pass for a girl. So of course I did. Well, I guess that's a better decision than joining Sombra, which is what you suggested doing earlier. I said that, didn't I? Matthew, please bury me under a headstone that reads, and this is why drugs are bad for you. I'll take my shirt back now, and let's just never mention this incident again, okay? Ever. Matthew, I'm glad that Jack's been found, even if no one will tell me what that was about. Trust me, Chief, you don't want to know. On to more important matters then. We now have a clearer idea about the trouble in the north Sombra's brewing. Clearly, Sombra's using the current instability in the U.S. to further their plans. Their active involvement in the USA movement proves it. They're doing that through their subsidiary, OM Medilab, which looks legitimate enough that we can't shut it down without irrefutable proof. I can't believe OM Medilab's getting away with all of this, Matthew. It's like back in Brazil. They manufacture international tension without anyone being the wiser. Hiding in plain sight is Sombra's specialty, but we're one step closer to bringing their schemes to light. We know they've got a stake in politically dividing the U.S. What we need to do is dig deeper into the USA movement. They're holding a rally in Seattle, which means that it's time to pack your bags, Matthew. Seattle is our next stop.
And that's why I want to go after them with everything we have. They know what these ads are. They know what they're doing. They're complicit. We could set up a sting. Prove that they know. That's got to be enough for an injunction, right? Shut the back pages down.
Not likely. The ads don't explicitly promise sex. We can't prove that they benefited materially. The paper hasn't broken the laws.
Maybe everybody knows what's really going on.
Hang on a second.
It's not open yet, though, I know.
We can't call in any chits on each other.
September 29th.
This, us.
Let's see what I got.
In case you're looking.
4 new ones. Three new ones. Four new ones. Let's see. Two rare ones. Three new ones. Cool. So I get to open one more. 4 new ones. Let's see.
There's something about him, though.
Mayor Nagel, however you want to say it. Chief Ripley, case 42. Mole among them. Okay, that will do. I'll see you guys for when case 50 or case 51 is open. I'll see you all then.